G'day, my name's Simon Fitzpatrick and today I want to share with you a few techniques catching bass on impoundments such as this one that are fringed with lily pads and azolla weed. Here on this dam the fish are often hiding in amongst this weed because that's where their habitat is, that's where their oxygen is, that's where their shelter is, and that's where their food is. So they're right in under the lily pads and they're very hard to extract. So the lure that I tend to favour when there's a surface bite in early morning or late evening or on overcast days or on any day that you can actually hear the fish buffing things off the surface around the lily pads there. They'll be feeding on cicadas in this warmer weather and also frogs and any other little insects. So days like today, not much good, better for filming because yeah, the fish are going to be a bit sensitive because of that sun. So obviously the predators can see them a lot easier, so they're going to be hiding today. But later on this evening, we'll have a crack at it. Now, this little lure is a gem. These things, you can get them, a few different companies make them. This is the Starlo Pro Frog. I think there's a River to Sea one, and there is also a Coppers Live Target frog that I've seen. They're all around sort of a $10 mark, and they're absolutely sensational lures for Australian bass. As you can see, the hooks are concealed. So you can hop this little puppy across the lily pads. The fish will be underneath, they'll sense it, they'll know it's there, and they'll move to the edge of the lily and wait for the frog to jump off, and they'll just smash it. And of course the first thing they'll do is head straight into the weed, right, which is the problem. So this little lure alleviates some of those problems. It has, if you can see that, when you squish it down, the hooks now point out. So when it's hopping across the lily pads, there's no way it's going to get snagged. Okay, it's virtually 100% snag proof when you hop it across the pads, but it's very soft. So as soon as the bass crunches on it, the hooks protrude immediately and the fish is hooked. And the bass love it so much, generally they'll swallow the whole thing. So there's no trebles hanging out of the fish's mouth. When it goes back into the weed, it's not going to get fouled up. But of course you've got to get the bass out of there as quick as possible. And so that brings me to the rest of the gear. With this guy, I've tied it straight to the main line, okay? Straight onto some heavy braid. So 15, 20 pound braid is what you need because you want to get the lure right in amongst the lily pads and rip the bass out as soon as they hit the lure. If you put you know, monofilament on there, fluorocarbon or nylon, it's got stretch in it, that's going to allow the bass to turn their head and get into the weed basically, and then you've got a problem extracting them. So you don't want any give, you want to have your drag virtually locked, you want to have good, like I said, braid straight through, and so you've only got one knot to rely upon. This knot here, just a loop knot of some sort. Of course, double your braid over when you're tying any sort of knots with braid before you tie it. The strength. Now this is a reasonably heavy rod for bass because you really want something with that's quite strong in the butt, okay, for pulling the fish out, but something reasonably light in the tip as well for casting the lure. Something reasonably long too. It's going to give you better control. This one's I think about 7 foot long, or almost 7 foot. It's a drop shot 820S Loomis, does the job nicely. A little 2500 reel, and bang, you're in business. These bass are loving these little frogs. Here's a nice one. As you can see, that little live target frog is completely engulfed. What do we do while we're waiting for the fish to come onto that surface bite is we still need to fish around the edges because that's where the fish are. And what I find is this little lure here is fantastic, and they'll hit that on the drop. cast it to the edge of the lilies, because the bass is still under there. They're just a bit shy to be, you know, closer to the surface when the sun's out, and so they're a little bit deeper, but they're still under there. So if you cast that one to the edge, and as it flutters down, that, you know, it's a good technique. This one I have got a little bit of you know, leader on it, a bit of fluorocarbon, because I think the fish, you know, might shy away from that. They might have a bit more time to inspect it, whereas the frog, they're not going to worry about inspecting it. They want to be all over that. It's a frog. They don't care what it's tied to. They just want to eat it. So this one, yeah, the short length of monofilament or fluorocarbon, and if you tie, you know, if you're using, say, this is 10 pound braid and 10 pound leader, then just a uni knot there is going to be fine. But yeah, probably 15 pound would be. There we go. It's just a little fella, but there's the spin, the jig spin, 1/8 of an ounce with a little paddle tail grub on it, little atomic grub. But geez, they go hard, bass. They just make a real good account of themselves. Another good tip is when you're fishing in amongst this weed, because there's not only have you got your lily pads right to the edge, but then you've got another couple of metres of azolla weed, I think it is. And so even if you manage to pull the fish out of the way of the lily pads, they go straight into the azolla. And in any case, you need something to extract them, a net maybe to pull them out of the weed, or even a gaff. Okay, so a gaff, not for gaffing the fish, but for gaffing the weed, and pulling the weed out to extract the fish. But yeah, look, with this particular technique with the frog, the Americans, they catch American bass with this technique, and they use quite heavy rods. I mean, they're bigger fish, but still very heavy rods, long rods, very heavy line, leader straight, no leader, okay, main line straight to the frog. They'll do the same thing, they'll hop it across the lily pads, and when they hook the bass, they basically just heave it out of the water, and it flies through the air and lands in the boat. And that, you know, that's an extreme measure, but it, you know, it's going to get your fish. It's not going to give them a chance to turn their heads. So keep your line tight, hit them soon, bring them in quick, keep the drag on strong. That's it. I hope you can use some of these techniques, and we'll see you on the water. There you go, little Aussie bass. Good condition, strong fish.